On this job right here, we got a 6-acre parking lot. I think there's like 400,000 square feet. Now this parking lot's been down for a few years. I think it's about 5 years old. Had one coat layer of base put on it, and then about 2 years ago they put another base layer on it. So it's got plenty of base. Well, they went through the city council. They were originally supposed to put more trees here. They got a variance to get from that. So it changed the parking lot. So now we're having to relay this out. There really ain't got much of a drawing to lay it out. So they're counting on us to get it right, make sure it drains. We've to take the existing how it was and make it right like it is. So that's what this video is about. The first thing we did on this is we went around, shot our elevations. The engineer had decided on a 2-part curb, a footer within our standard curb on top of it. So we went around and set our footer height, and we went all the way around the park and got our elevations. Now, we didn't have blueprints to go by. And what we did was, knowing what we could and could not drain, we couldn't be less than 0.5% for sheet draining on asphalt. We could go up to 2% and still keep it within handicap specs. So from going by the additions of where the inlets were and using them elevations, we were able to come up. If you look to the left, you could see where the footer is about 4 inches out of the ground. We did that to raise and lower our slope. Now right here, you can see where we're coming up. It's sticking up out of the ground. You can see where we're starting to do it. We had to build it up to get the fall to come back into where we're at. So these footers are at different elevations all the way around. They're up and down to meet your fall. Over on this end, it was bad enough that instead of using rock and buying more rock put in there, we pulled the rock back because there's plenty of base, and we brought select fill in, and we raised this up through here about 1 foot all the way down through here. When the design that was on there, when we got there, the water was flowing off of here over into the adjacent lot, which they don't own. You can't shed your water on somebody else's property. So that's why we have to raise all the way the perimeter up about 8 inches to make the water direct back into the inlets and go through our storm system, so we're managing it. And here you can see that's what we've done. I didn't have a video of how deep it was at the time. Right through here was the worst. We had to raise it up about 1.5 feet. We're not done with the footer down here because we had to raise it up that much. So that's a trip around. So now I'm going to show you what we had going through to do. So I kind of explained that. Hope it was clear enough. Cleaning off all the brush that's grown up in it. We kind of took an area at a time and cleaned as we go. You know, this is summertime. This stuff grows like wildfire. You can go out there. This stuff's been cut 100 times, but it keeps coming back. So once you get it all cleaned up and you start disturbing it, it gets extremely dusty. So we got the water cow out there. I think we're going through about 10 trailer loads a day, 525 gallons per time, just to keep the dust down. Filters, blowing them out every day. It is dusty. Water makes it look nice. So what he's doing here, this is a high point where the bed's going to be, the median's going to be. It's a high point that drains down. So he's up there getting that smoothed out right with the curb. If you can see right behind the two guys right there, that's one of our grading stakes. We happen to use rebar as grading stakes to get it in there. There you go. Again, you can see it. Now he's wetting down where we're cutting. Okay. We got it laid out. We know how much we need to cut each spot right at this point in here. So we're going from high point to drain. We're working our way in. Here you can see the water cow right up there getting it. And once again, we're working around the medias because that's the high point and it's going to drain down. Now we have it done over here. You can see we're starting to pack the base. There's another one of the grading stakes. Hard to see if you're looking on your phone. It's out there though. That rebar don't stick out. Man, he could not do it without that water. It's just too much. You burn up your good machines. Let's go over here and check on these guys. This is where we peeled it back. Here's where we're pulling back the base, the existing base. It's plenty thick enough. And we're bringing in select fill to raise it up. This is where at the edge, the property, it was draining over to the neighbors. Can't do that. That's a big no-no. So we're pulling it back. We're bringing it in. Now, the reason we're doing this is all economics, okay? Truckload of crush and run like that right there is going to run you about $850. Time you get it to the job, 24 yards. Depends on how far your trucking is. Select fill right there is going to run you about $250. Depends on how far you got to truck it. Okay, it's 24 yards. So obviously, it's $600 a truckload cheaper to bring the dirt in than it is just to put rock on top of it. And that's what they were hoping to save, because there's plenty of rock here to work with on this. So far, we only bought one truckload of rock, and that's in spots that got to be tuned in within an inch. It's not really feasible to dig it up. It's easier just to put the rock inch layer over there. So far, we've only got one load of rock, 10 loads of select fill, 240 yards. So that's what the guy's going. If you look back there, now you can see the curb. See how much higher that curb is? So we'll spread this out and keep on moving. Now let's take an overall look at the job from the air. Unfortunately, I can't get it all in one picture. The drone maxes out at 400 feet and it's just not high enough to get all this up in it. But you can see the size of the parking lot now. You can see where my truck's sitting right there. You can make out everything. You see all the islands. So we're going to move back here, and then I'm going to kind of take a section. This explain to you what we're doing across the whole parking lot. Everything you see in red is an inlet. That means that's a low point. So we got to make everything drain to what's in red. Now, everything you see in blue is a high point. So we grid this off from high points to low points to make it drain. Everything you see in lime green, that's the direction of the flow of water. So by shooting this video, it's hard to show you this is what we're doing because it's a gravel parking lot before we start and it's a gravel parking lot when we finish. What you'll notice the most is it won't have no weeds, but there's a ton of work to be done. Like I said, the property was draining to the water was draining offside the property. So we had to raise all the edges and get it to drain in. So here's a good overview of what the video's like. Now that was looking at 1/3 of it. We have 3 more zones, so to speak, to do like that. While we're up here, let's take a look around. Now that mall was built 5 years ago, Tanger Mall, good big populated area. This is the park, going to have 45 rides, I think it's going to be. Right next to it, they just built that lagoon over there. That's like you go swimming, they do concerts, and all back through there, they got 6,000 more houses going. And there's the park. Good location. Now you're checking out the guys. This is where we peeled it back. You can see the curb over to the left, brought in the select fill. We'll smooth this out, we'll pack it down, then they'll pull the rock back in over on it. We'll do this process for about 70% around the exterior where it was draining into the other property. At this point, since we did the curbs, we're just matching the elevation. It made it easier doing the footers first. And here's another load of select fill. What do y'all use? Y'all use end dumps, tandem, triaxles, tag-alongs. My personal favorite, I love a tandem dump truck, but I have to admit these end dumps right here, they're the most efficient way to go in the dumping world right now. That's 24 yards. That's equivalent to 2 tandem loads, but you got one driver, one truck. The fuel runs about the same. It's a better value for you and your customer on this. In this case, size matters. What you're looking at right there, I told you we use rebars instead of wood, couldn't drive them in the gravel. But that's setting up a high point right there for it to drain. That's how we know to cut for grade. Here, after you get it set up, you start shaping it down from there. Now, as I said, we went from the inlet and we knew our percentages of fall. A minimum of 0.5% on sheet drain and no more than 2% for handicap. So going from the inlet and shooting out to the edges of the property into the mediums that's there is how we determined where to put these high points and low points in and to get the drainage. You saw how we gridded it off. So each little grid drains into a bowl like a funnel itself. There's a good shot. You can see what we got done and what we need to do. Now here we're getting down to the fine tuning on that edge. As you can see, Raphael's out there. All them little funny hand signals is him telling what needs to be done at that grading state. What he does is he takes the green is the grade, that's a foot above grade. He takes his level, he levels off, and he measures down 1 foot above grade. Now he's going to look at him in the eyes, and then he just hand signals that he needs this to shave a little off. Okay? Man, these guys are so in sync, such a tight crew. This young man right here, man, he makes you proud to watch. You see, he's learning, he's doing great. If you look, the grading stakes you're looking at, that's a high point. When he goes to back up, there, good shot, that's the high point. Look back over to the left, you can see the low point. So what he's doing is smoothing from low to high, getting the excess gravel up, and then we'll spread it out where we need it. Here you can see progress being made across the parking lot. Starting to take shape, look good. Like to thank everybody for watching. Hope you hit the like and subscribe button, and we will do another video on this site.